Hotty toddy, Ole Miss fans, and welcome to the Brad and Chad Show, an Ole Miss Network production, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA. This is the show by and for Ole Miss fans, where you'll get expert insight and analysis on Ole Miss athletics. And now, here are your hosts, former Rebels Chad Flowers and retired NFL star Bradley Sowell.
Podcast time.
Episode 3, Brad and Chad Show, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans and Nest and Wild Mattress. Bradley Sowell, my partner in crime. How are we today, sir?
What's up, man? Just a little 3-0 Wednesday. Feeling good this week. Ready to roll. Ready to talk some ball. We got a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff to cover today. Chad and I get to make our picks at the end. We get to talk to Nick Broeker, who was SEC Lineman of the week. Pretty good day for him. Get to talk to him in a little bit and talk some Ole Miss ball, man. We get the chance to go 4-0 head into the Kentucky game, and it should be a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. For sure. So how's the week gone? It's we got any softball practice going on, a tournament to prepare for this weekend? Yeah, well, we got a scrimmage on Wednesday with the Madison team. Now we got two teams, one in Oxford, one in Madison. We're completely overdoing it, but we got a scrimmage on Wednesday with the Madison team, and should be fun, man. I'm still recovering from the weekend. I mean, this is unbelievable. I mean, my kid better get a full scully out of this or something. I don't even know. So have you considered quitting your job and just doing this full time? Because I imagine you're putting in already 40 hours a week doing this as well. Yeah, no, it's I feel like I should be that should be on my resume. Softball coach, volunteer softball coach, zero proceeds. Love it. Just for 50 hours a week. Now you're not one of those coaches that risk getting kicked out at any time or ejected, yelling at other parents or umpires, are you? No, I'm pretty hyped. But I'm not quite. I mean, some of you get a fun mix of fans at these games, man. Like you get like the parents who are like, I mean, it means really a little too much to them, and then you get the one. I'm kind of in the middle. Like it means a lot. Like the little things mean a lot, but the good night. I mean, at the end of the day, man, the girls just want to play a game and go home and get on their iPad. I mean, it's fun stuff. But yeah, you get the crazy mix of fans at these games. I mean, this game this past weekend was so lit. The championship game. I mean, I couldn't even put it's unbelievable how into it these people were. So it's crazy. Now, it's crazy. Do any of the opposing fans have any like creative things to yell at you, like, "Hey, she left early," like Bradley would leave early on the offensive line, or anything like that? No, but they know. I know there's certain people that know who I am, and I'm sure they're whispering to themselves, "Hey, he's coaching his team to leave early," stuff like that. So. Well, I've had a very interesting last day and a half. My internet is out. So as you can see, I've got many leather-bound books around me, and it does smell of rich mahogany, if anyone is wondering. I'm at a law office here in town because Comcast is not able to tell me what is wrong with my internet. So I have scrambled to find another studio. As they always say, the show must go on. That is the dedication I'm trying to show to you, Bradley. So hopefully at some point you're going to show that same level of dedication and be able to. I thought you were trying to show me up. I thought you were trying to show me up, trying to see how smart you are. Like, I know you don't have all those books in your house. No, like, you are from Pontotoc, Mississippi. Like, you don't really. I still do balance my checkbook by drawing in the dirt and all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's nothing specific, sophisticated over here. I promise you. I love it. So we talked on Sunday about the game against Georgia Tech, and so now we are preparing for the last non-conference game that we have, and we're going to be playing the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. They're coming into Oxford this weekend. What should be an interesting game, because this is going to be an opponent unlike what the Rebels have played so far. Now, we've talked a lot about the non-conference schedule and how we don't know how much the Rebels are going to be tested, but the interesting thing about Tulsa is the style that they run. So let's talk first and foremost a little bit about what Tulsa likes to do on offense. If you're familiar with Art Briles, they are going to run a very similar Art Briles scheme. Philip Montgomery, who's the head coach at Tulsa, he's been there for about 8 years. They run a version of what's called the veer and shoot, right? And so they're going to throw the ball a lot. The big difference, if you're familiar with Art Briles' offenses, is this version, they're going to try to throw the ball deep
a lot. They like throwing the ball deep. They average over 15 yards per completion, almost 10 yards per pass attempt. So they're going to throw the ball a lot. But you're also going to see some RPOs as well. That's run pass option if you're not familiar. So you're probably going to see a lot of shotgun. They're going to do a play fake or even give it to the running back, or they're going to pull it and try to throw it. So my question to you, Bradley, you would think that we're going to have an athletic advantage just because it is a Power 5 school against an AAC school. So my question is, do you think with that type of scheme that we're going to be facing, we're going to see more man-to-man in the secondary because they're going to throw the ball a lot, which means you can keep more people in the box and try to take away the run, or do you run more of a zone concept? What do you think we're going to see from Chris Partridge's defense going up against Tulsa?
Yeah, I think if you look at it, the quarterback's leading the nation in yards and touchdowns. So they're going to throw the ball. They're going to throw it a lot. So I mean, my hope is, obviously don't know what we're going to do, but my hope is that we pressure the guy. Let's get after him. Let's challenge their O-line. Let's pressure him. I'd go a little man. I mean, I'd go some man in there. I'd really try to pressure this quarterback, get to him, hit him early. If I had to guess, they don't run the ball particularly well. They're only averaging 3 yards a carry, somewhere in there. Yep. I don't think they really show up trying to run it, but I think that I think we get after this quarterback, make him make throws under pressure, and that's what we've done all year on the defense side of the ball, is get after these quarterbacks. But I think we should be able to physically beat him with a 4-man front. Would be my guess. But hey, let's get after him. Let's put some pressure on this guy. He hasn't faced an SEC defense yet, so I'd like to get after him, hit him early. Make him force some throws, maybe get a few picks. But where they're really good, man, if you look at where you start digging into this matchup a little more, and you say, hey, is it just because they're playing bad teams? Whatever. They're not playing the greatest teams. But where they're really good is they're actually really good on third down. And if you look at that, they're right around 50% on third down. So that's a pretty solid clip. And they don't turn the ball over a lot. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, with that style. But I like getting after him. Let's pressure this guy. Let's get all in his face, hit him early, and really try to get after him there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you in thinking that they're probably going to, or I would imagine we're going to see the Rebels run a little bit more man, because one thing that they like to do is they like to run those high-low concepts, right, where they're going to make, if it was a zone, they're going to make that defensive back decide depending on the routes that they're seeing, because they're going to maybe put twins on one side or what have you, and then the one receiver is going to go low, one receiver is going to go high, making the receiver make that decision. So maybe we do see more man to make sure that they are, both guarded with the secondary, and running into any potential confusion that can be eliminated with that.
Chad, I feel like, did you go on YouTube and look at all football concepts?
I'm so prepared right now.
Or is this or is this just strict Madden knowledge? I mean, this
there's a little bit of both, and you can go ahead and I'm going to stop there and ask you: did I completely sound like I'm full of BS saying that, or is it like, okay, he understands what he's talking about?
Yeah, you got a little bit. You made me a bit of a believer there.
Okay, good. That's as long as I can at least create the impression that I know what I'm talking about. That's all we're trying to do here, right?
I love it.
So yeah, for sure. Now you mentioned the opponents thus far that Tulsa's played. They lost on the road to Wyoming in double overtime. Wyoming's not a great team. They did beat Northern Illinois. Not a great team. Traditionally, they can be pretty good in the MAC, but they are a little bit down the last few years. And then they throttled a team they were supposed to throttle last week in Jacksonville State. Usually pretty decent at the FCS level, but they did what they were supposed to do. So you could argue that we don't really know what Tulsa we're going to see just because of the nature of their competition. But then again, I could argue that Tulsa probably is around in that level with those teams too. We out-athlete Tulsa. We should be able to, do what we want to do on the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball. It all comes down to execution, as you would know, and as our guest Nick Broeker is going to talk about when we discuss, the upcoming game with him here in just a little bit. So execution with any game, regardless of who the opponent is always going to be a critical component of a match.
Yeah, no question, man. And if you look at it, what's crazy, I started digging into some stats and stuff. Ole Miss has given up 4 points a game. Ole Miss has given up 4 points a game, scoring 40. You look at Tulsa on the defensive side of the ball, not great against the run, not great against the pass, pretty mediocre on defense. Where I think that what's going to really benefit us is, I think physically we'll get after them in the run game. I think you're going to almost carry that game plan over from the previous week, and just really start getting after. I like to get the run going early. Pound them a little bit, get after them, and if they want to come in the box, cool. If not, they can just sit there and take it like Georgia Tech did all game as well, and then we could throw on them. So defensively, super average. I mean, we should physically dominate them. Don't give you a whole lot. Nothing pops out on the defense side of the ball. They've given up quite a bit of points. I think they're giving up 30 points a game, somewhere in there. I feel like where they got a good enough offense to score a little bit, but where we're really going to make a difference is I don't think they're going to be able to put up 30 on us, and their defense just isn't going to be to slow us down.
Yeah, when you look at the Tulsa defense, I'm going to get into my X and O's here a little bit with you, Bradley. They're going to run a 3-3-5, right? And what that usually means for the opposing offense, or the Ole Miss offense in this case, is they're going to have 8 in the back, 3 down linemen. What they like to do is something called the spill and kill, right? So what they like to do is they like to flood the middle with those defensive linemen, and they're going to try to put those running backs. They're going to try to make them go to the outside, where they're going to have a nickel safety or a safety coming up to tackle. However, if we can, if we stick to our gap schemes, right, then we should be able to maybe take a guard and a tackle from the opposite side and get to the next level, which should open up some of those running lanes. What would you say about that?
Close. We don't really run gap schemes, though. We're more of an inside zone team. Nick, I'm sure when Nick comes on, he'll allude to that. So, yeah, you're right. If they're there's no way. I mean, even if there's no way they're going to be able to line up with 3 down. I mean, we kind of do a version of that. I would have to think they're going to get a little tighter there, but yeah, I mean you line up if they're going to give our guards free access to the next level, so be it. We'd actually love that. So, I would think. They're definitely have to load the box a little more than typically. Because that's what we do. We're a running team right now. I mean, I've said this before on another pod. If I am playing Ole Miss right now, what am I doing? I'm making those quarterbacks throw.
Yes,
I'm making them throw. I mean, I would rather lose on a pass than I would, like Georgia Tech, just letting them, pound us. So I would think they're going to put some more guys in the box. But yeah, 3 down versus our O-line and our team. That's going to get interesting for them.
If they do stick to that 3-3-5, one thing that should be good to see is if Jackson can make some throws in tighter coverage, right? Because if they're going to have 8 dropped back, he should be able to. We should be able to see what kind of decision he makes in some tighter windows.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It just that would all depend on if we're not able to run the ball, which I'd be shocked if we're not.
Right.
If I'm Lane, man, I'm pounding them. And I'm running the clock. I'm trying to get out of this game nice and safe. Not putting the quarterback in any tough spots here. I'm going to force them out of that 3 down or 3-3-5 or whatever they run.
I think the only other thing that I would think about regarding their defense. So yeah, I agree with you. We're a running team. We're going to try to pound the ball. Even when we're not successful, we're still going to try. The one thing that is a good stat that I've seen regarding the Tulsa defense is they only have 4 sacks on the year. So even when we do try to pass, they're not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and that can only benefit us.
Yeah, well, a lot of that is if they're running 3 down, they're going to drop a lot of guys in zone, and it's you usually have 5 guys blocking 3. You should be good there. So I don't think they're a big sack team. Nick will probably let us know. He's probably watched them a little more than us, but yeah, their stats their defense stats just aren't eye popping at all. They give up quite a few points. They're nothing special. They give up a lot of passing yards. They've given up some good rushing yards. So. Definitely a defense that we can get after. And then I think offensively, I think you're going to see a lot of the same.
Perfect. So now that I've schooled everybody on what type of offense we don't run, I wanted to make sure everybody knew we didn't run that type of scheme. I wanted to bring in, like I've mentioned and Bradley's already mentioned today, we've got a special guest today on our Nest and Wild hotline. We've got offensive lineman, senior Nick Broeker. He is, like Bradley mentioned a little while ago, he is the current offensive lineman of the week in the SEC. So once again, Nick, I want to thank you for your time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about how you felt the team executed the game plan against Georgia Tech. Obviously you were able to be rewarded with the Offensive Lineman of the Week. So how did you feel the game plan ultimately played out for y'all?
Yeah, I thought the game plan worked really well for us, as you saw. 42-0 is always a pretty good ending to the game, but I still feel like we left a lot of yards out there and left some points out there that we needed to capitalize on.
Yeah, that's funny, Nick. So when I text Nick after the game, that was his response. I was like, man, that's pretty good. When you rush for 330 something yards and you're mad because you didn't get 400, that's when you had a hungry bunch of guys. So awesome performance there, man. Hey, run us through a little bit. So I know we had talked before about this before the season, and first of all, I want to commend you for coming back to Ole Miss. I know that it would have been easy to run off, easy to go out early, but after all the advice you were given, and to be a starter at left tackle all that time, and to come back and be willing to be a team player and switch to guard like that. Walk us through what that's been like. I know for the common fan, they don't realize, they think, oh, it's just the O-lineman. If you can block a guard, you can block a tackle. It's not always that easy, man. And that's a little bit of a risk on your part, but but also a risk to reward there too. Now you're playing awesome at guard, and walk us through what that's been like, the transition over to guard.
Yeah, at first it was honestly kind of bizarre. Even in the first game, there was a few moments where it kind of just felt off a little bit, but especially when we first started and came back in January, the transition wasn't just naturally as smooth as I thought it was going to be. It kind of took a few weeks. It took a few practice and extra reps to kind of get back into the swing of things and kind of feel comfortable doing that. And the transition for me, kind of the reasoning behind it was, like you said, I felt like there was still more work to be done, more to prove, not just for myself as an individual, proving I could do multiple positions and helping myself in that regard. But even as a team, I kind of saw the ability early on that we were going to have a really special team, going to have some really good running backs, going to have a good quarterback, good guys to throw it to, another really good O-line, and another really good defense. So, just kind of from everything, it seemed like a really good decision for me.
So, Nick, kind of enlighten me a little bit. I don't know the locker room dynamics or anything along those lines. How does that conversation come up? Was that something that Coach Kiffin asked you about? Or how did that conversation come up where, hey, we may want you to move from tackle to guard?
Yeah, a lot of it came about when I was first really thinking about coming out for the draft. Last year after the season was kind of winding down. And a lot of it for me was just my arm length isn't kind of like the ideal, stereotypical arm length to play tackle in the NFL, but it was good for guard and kind of have more of a guard body, so to speak. And that was something my offensive line coach had brought up. And then once Coach Kiffin kind of talked to me about it, him as well, and then Coach Wise. So it was kind of a big agreement between all of us.
Nice. Okay. Excellent. So let's talk a little bit. You've heard my stellar breakdown on Tulsa. I kind of schooled Bradley a little bit, if you will. What do you see? And you don't have to give up game plan, nor would you anyway. But what do you see that Tulsa is going to do on the defensive side of the ball that y'all are going to have to prepare for?
Yeah, I think the thing that, to me at least, watching film that kind of sticks out is they're such a veteran group, and they've played a lot of football together. I think even when you look at the depth chart, you have a lot of fifth-year seniors, even some sixth-year seniors. I think they have one seventh-year senior. So there's a lot of veteran leadership on that team that they've played a lot of ball together. They know exactly how everybody's going to line up and how they're going to fit their gaps and everything like that. So they don't really mess up some simple things that you don't really think about. They're always going to be lined up where they're supposed to be and being the right calls and everything.
Yeah, Nick, walk us through as a leader of the O-line. In game preparation, walk us through your role as a leader. What do you do? What do you say? What do you kind of do in the O-line room to to help these guys? Because especially you got some veteran guys in there, but you got a couple guys that are rotating in and out as well. What do you do to kind of keep that room up to the standard that you've seen? You've been here a while, man. You've started a lot. Walk us through what you do to your role as a leader. Going into games, I'm sure that you're the guy that talks to the room most of the time. Walk us through what it's like carrying that leadership role, man.
Yeah, I feel like just throughout the week, kind of the main thing is keeping the main thing, focusing on Saturday, not really focusing on what we did last Saturday, good, bad, or ugly, not really dwelling on that, and kind of attacking each day as its own. We had a Tuesday practice today. It's a grinder of a practice. Tuesdays are typically your hardest day. So kind of letting everybody know, we got to attack practice. This is kind of how you win the game, is days like today, even when it was 96 when we practiced outside this morning. It was really hot, but can't really let things affect you like that.
Yeah, no question. Love that. Hey, so one thing I'd like for you to talk through as well. So, man, you're in a game. I watch most of the film. Boom, you're doing a zone to the left. You reach the left guard. You pancake them. Ball comes behind you. The fans go crazy. What's that feel like as an O-lineman? You know, obviously I know a little bit, but you know, it's good for fans to hear. I mean, that's a great feeling. But I want to hear, you know, walk us through what it feels like when you know you're dumping that guy and you feel the running back's feet almost buzz right by you, and then you hear the fans go crazy. You had a couple of those this week where the ball came right behind you. You know, just awesome job there. Just walk us through what that feels like, man.
Yeah, there's really nothing better than that, especially with the backs we have. Like, they just kind of have the ability to take any run the distance. I mean, even for them, like just getting to the second level, like they can just make one guy miss and it's, you know, boom, 40 yards. You saw it with all three of them, really. I mean, Q, Zach, and Do all really were able to hit some big runs. So there's really nothing better than that. Yeah,
where do you get your mindset from? So you watch a lot of your film. You kind of got that that nasty. I mean, you're always finishing guys. You know, borderline. You're that pest. I've been on a lot of teams. There's always that one or two O linemen that are just like, hey, I'm the practice pest. I'm gonna finish every guy in the game. I'm just finishing. Look like a drunk guy in the bar, just trying to toss people all over the place. You know, where do you get that? Is it something that came up when you were a kid, or where do you get that mindset from? Because I'll tell you right now, it is not a lot of guys have that, and it is special to see. But you know, where do you get that from? You know, a lot of times it comes from your kid or whatever. But you know, where do you get that mindset from?
Yeah, a lot of it for me was just kind of how I was taught to play. My dad played Northwestern, my brother played at Illinois, and hearing how they talked about Big Ten football is like always what I was absorbed in as a kid. Like hearing my dad's stories about how they played at Ohio State, played at Penn State, played at Michigan when, you know, those were the teams competing for the national championships. My brother played against Ohio State, you know, when they had Michael Thomas, Taylor Decker, Joey Bosa, all those guys. So just kind of hearing that's what college football is like, you know, that's how you're supposed to play. And that's how they play. That's just kind of something that they put into me.
What kind of household were you in? So you mentioned Illinois and Northwestern there. So did you have an allegiance growing up?
Yeah, I mean, my dad played at Northwestern. It was kind of funny because Northwestern and Illinois are rivals, but it's not. Yep. It's not as big of a deal as it is like Ole Miss and State, if that makes sense. Like they're rivals, sure. But to me, it's always been more or less because they're both Big Ten schools in the same state. There's not really a whole lot of bad blood or anything like that. So Northwestern was definitely my team. There was kind of a heavy Notre Dame influence where I grew up because I wasn't super far from South Bend, and it seemed like everybody was a Notre Dame fan. Like a lot of people I grew up with, like, they're like, oh, we're going to the Notre Dame game. Like, we got to watch the Notre Dame game. So that was kind of what I was absorbed in.
It's going to be interesting. I would be up in Big Ten country this weekend. I'm going to go watch Ohio State, Wisconsin in the Horseshoe. So I'm pretty interested to see what that's going to be like.
Yeah, that's like a very classic Big Ten matchup to me.
Yeah.
Oh, no question.
So I have some questions that I wanted to ask you. You know, we've talked ball already, which is good stuff, great stuff. But I wanted to ask you some questions, put you on the spot a little bit, just kind of get some feel about a few things. So first question that I have for you, pretty basic. I know offensive linemen like to eat. I like to eat myself. In Oxford, if you could eat one meal in Oxford, where would it be and what would it be?
Oh, that's tough. I feel like Oxford's like kind of hard to pick sometimes. Like they even asked me that at media day, and I knew they were going to ask, and I still really couldn't come up with one place.
What's your favorite food then?
Like probably favorite style of food is Italian.
Okay,
yeah. Like favorite meal, like if I were to have like a ideal meal, it'd probably be like steak, potatoes, and asparagus.
Okay, all right.
Classic O-line meal right there. Just steak and potatoes. I love it.
All right. When you're not really getting ready for, you know, the next game, you watch anything on TV right now? What's your favorite show that you like to be watching right now?
I'm not a big TV show guy. Okay. Honestly, I'm more of a movie person.
Okay.
That's kind of like more what I do. I did just watch like the Manti Te'o documentary.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty good.
Dude, I felt awful. I felt awful for Manti. I watched it as well, and like I didn't really know the whole story. But like I kind of at the end, I felt he's a great kid, but like he's just really naive in that. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was really wild to like watch it after, as I said earlier, I grew up in Notre Dame country, and like they were going to the national championship game, and it was just kind of like everybody was just kind of frowning Manti, and then like the truth comes out now that it's like it really necessarily wasn't all his fault.
Oh man, Nick. Okay, next question: what teammate would be the worst roommate?
The worst roommate. Oh,
Put him on the spot. Put him on blast right now.
After seeing some of the lockers, I feel like just Trig would be just one that would always like leave the food out, like not their stuff away.
Oh man, dude, there's always that guy. I was roommates with Reshaw Johnson when he was at Ole Miss, and dude, no joke, he went to sleep one night. So you get like the snack, like when you get like a box or whatever. We got like sandwiches back in the day. We go to sleep one night, and no joke, he takes a bite of the sandwich and he drips mayonnaise on his chest. I look over there later that day, and he still got the clump of mayonnaise on his chest. Worst ever road roommate, dude. Like literally, wake up in the middle of the night, would step on that same sandwich, walk into the bathroom. Worst roommate ever. What coach would you want to take a cross country trip with if you had to choose one of the coaches?
I'd take one coach on a cross country road trip.
Yeah,
Thornton. He's really cool. Like we get along really well. So he's the O-line coach. That'd be really good.
All right, last question I have for you. Pretty basic. What's your favorite place to play in the SEC on the road? And then I'll follow that up with what your least favorite place to play is and why.
To me, Auburn's always been really cool. To me, a lot of it is I have a lot of friends from home who go to school there, but just the way they kind of organize it's really cool. The whole crowd's involved, and it's like a really cool kind of loud. It's never like anything disrespectful, but it's just really fun to play. There's always a lot of energy. Worst place, Tennessee.
Yeah, anytime you're getting things thrown at you, it's never a good time.
Yeah.
No question. So Nick, you and I have a little something in common with the Chicago thing. We got to talk a little Chicago here. Me and Nick we are both Bears fans a bit.
Cool.
So we text each other Monday night. Hey, we're hyped. Bears are 1-0. We're going to play Green Bay, and Daddy Aaron Rodgers comes out. So, hey, what's your favorite pizza up in Chicago?
Lou Malnati's.
Oh, you like Lou's. I like that. I was a Pequod's guy, but Lou's was a hot second. Lou's was good.
Yeah, Lou's was awesome.
Dipped or not dipped with the beef sandwich? Italian beef.
This might be like a controversial one. I don't dip it.
Yeah, I wasn't a dipper either. I'm with you there.
That's pretty controversial.
A lot of people like that though, but when you get it in the package, it's like a soggy sandwich. Like
it's too soggy for me.
No, it's the best way to eat it. Like I said, if I'm going to go ahead and do it, might as well just do it the best way. Dip it in those beef drippings, and let's go to town. Let's rock.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just not a big soggy sandwich person.
I'm with you, dude. All right, walk us through what's a week like a practice for fans that don't know. Each day has like its own little deal. I know the first couple of days are usually tough, and then it gets a little easier. What's that Tuesday through say Saturday look like for the team and for you practice wise?
Yeah, so Tuesday is kind of like the hardest day of the week. A lot of run blocking, a lot of install goes into it prior to practice too. So it's kind of a big mental day as well as the physical aspect of it. And then Wednesday is another, it's not quite as tough as Tuesday, but you're still in pads, like just shoulder pads and helmets that day though. So we get to wear shorts for our lowers, kind of more of like a third down install kind of day, a little more pass pro, but still another grinder of a day, still another big work day. And then Thursday for us is called No Sweat Thursday, which is basically like, it's like an hour and a half long walkthrough where we kind of go over like all the possible looks that we could get throughout the game. Friday for us is called Fast Friday, where we come in the morning, have meetings, get a quick little like run in the indoor, like stretch and get some like, med ball tosses in. And then we'll go out on the field and run through some plays and then go through all those situations that are possible, substitutions. So just in case, like everything like that's humanly possible on the football field, like you kind of have to go over it. That's kind of what our Friday's for. For a home game, we don't have to be back until a little later in the day before we bus over to the inn and then have more meetings, dinner, and everything there. And then Saturday's game day.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, man, Nick, we appreciate it, dude. Awesome job on SEC Lineman of the Week, and we appreciate you having you on, man. And we definitely look forward to having you back on. So good luck rest of the way. And go for it, man. I mean, you guys are right there, undefeated. So keep it up, man. We really appreciate having you on.
Awesome. Thank you guys a ton. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. See you, Nick. So that's Nick Broeker on the Nest and Wild hotline. We really thank him for coming on with us today. And so we can transition now. We've talked, Bradley, we've talked Tulsa. We've talked to Nick, who is preparing for Tulsa. Now we can start talking about some predictions. And before we get into the Ole Miss one, we'll do that one last. You and I wanted to have a little competition picking against the spread. Now we set some parameters. We're not gonna do every single SEC game because I don't care about LSU versus Western Louisiana or whomever they may be playing. So we're just going to kind of keep this limited to the SEC matchups, and then we're always going to pick the Ole Miss game, just because obviously there's some relevance there. So let's start up at the top, and so I'm going to rattle these off. The first one that I have, we've got Tennessee. They're hosting Florida this weekend. 10.5-point favorite at home on Rocky Top. Bradley, I'm going to let you start off on this one, then I'll give mine, and then I'll do the first one next.
Give me Florida, baby. Florida plus 10.5. Tennessee hasn't played anybody. Florida's a little bit more battle tested. SEC matchup. Florida's coming off of it didn't look that great versus Kentucky. I think they're going to be hungry. I don't know what Tennessee is yet. They haven't played anybody, so give me Florida. Give me Florida plus 10.5 there. I think it's going to be a touchdown game either way.
Yep. So I'm going the other way on this one. Here's why. So I do think Tennessee, they played at Pitt. It's good. They beat Pitt. Okay, now you're right. Tennessee has played some other pretty weak teams, and they've put up a lot of points. The problem that I have with Florida is I don't think they can throw the ball. Right? They can run the ball pretty well, but I don't think that when you're playing against a team like Tennessee, where I think they're going to get their points, I don't think Florida has the firepower in the air to catch up with them. So the hook is really scaring me there. I would prefer it be 10, obviously, but I think Tennessee is going to be the play this weekend at Neyland.
Here we go. First one. We're already opposites. I love it. All
right. So our next game's in Jerry World. All right. We've got A&M versus Arkansas. So this is it's a traditional neutral site game. You've got A&M as a 2.5-point favorite against Arkansas. So for me on this one, I think Arkansas is not only going to cover, but I think Arkansas is going to win. Here's why. I think Texas A&M's defense is legitimate. They are a very, very good team, but I believe Arkansas is going to be able to run the ball enough. A&M's strength seems to be in the passing game on the defensive side of the ball. I think Arkansas, if they want to run the ball, that's all they want to do. They've got a running quarterback. I think that they will be able to run it enough to escape. We know Texas A&M's not going to score points. We know they're not. They can't. They're incapable of it. So I think not only Arkansas covers, but they get the win.
Yeah, I think low-scoring game. A&M's defense is allowing 8 points a game, somewhere in there. I got Arkansas. I'm taking Arkansas as well. I just don't believe in this A&M team. I don't think they're that good. I think Arkansas, although they look kind of bad at times versus Missouri State, but those things happen in those games. Arkansas, I think Arkansas gets out. I think they run the ball on them. I think they score enough, but on the flip side of that, I don't think A&M could do enough on offense to beat them.
Yeah, and I think Arkansas, there's a mindset they got to play Alabama next week. You don't want to lose 2 in a row. So I'm not going to say that they think that they're going to lose to Alabama, but let's be honest, that's got to be in the back of your mind somewhere. So I think that they know that they need to get this one before Alabama the following. All right, our next game. These are always real fun. So Alabama and Vanderbilt. Okay. Alabama, 40.5-point favorite. I believe that game is in Tuscaloosa. So what do you have here?
I'm taking Bama. Vandy's awful. I know it's tough, 40 points. And really with the high spread games, it all depends on what they do in the second half. Do they put their 8th stringers in there and don't embarrass Vandy, or they give up after they're up 38? But it's going to be 28-0 in the first quarter. So I like for the rest of the way, the backups come in hungry. I think Alabama covers. Alabama could score 70 if they want it.
So yes, I agree with you. That's why I do like Alabama in the first half. I think, based on kind of what you're saying there, I agree with you. I think Saban's going to call the dogs off, okay? Because of, like I mentioned, they have Arkansas next week. I don't think that they're going to push too much. I see a backdoor cover in the Commodores' future. Late touchdown. Vanderbilt has not been terrible, right? Now, granted, they've played Hawaii. They haven't played the greatest competition, but they're better this year than they were last year. They're not in Alabama's league by any stretch of the imagination. I would never say that in anything that's recorded. But I do think Alabama is going to call the dogs off a little bit just because I don't need to get anybody hurt for Arkansas. Vanderbilt with the backdoor cover. That's what we're going with there.
Interesting.
Yeah. 40.5. And I still don't feel good about it. That's the scary thing. All right. So the last one before we get to Ole Miss and Tulsa, a game of Tigers. We've got Missouri going to the Plains to take on you don't know what you're going to get, Brian Harsin, Auburn Tigers. What do we have here?
I'm going with Auburn. They just got embarrassed at home.
They did.
You got to think this week in practice they were absolutely, just chastised. I mean, literally probably just one of those really quiet, terrible weeks. Mizzou is terrible.
They're not
Let's
good.
just be real. Auburn's probably terrible as well, but they're going to be less terrible than Mizzou. I think they actually get after Mizzou and beat them by a couple touchdowns.
So I did have Auburn as the pick here, but I started thinking and I changed my mind. Let me kind of explain my rationale. So when Auburn does in fact cover, you can look at me and say, you're an idiot. Okay, so the box score looked a lot worse for Auburn than it really was against Penn State. They turned over the ball 4 times. They actually could have made that game a lot closer than they did. And Missouri does suck. I agree with you 100%. However, here's why I'm taking Missouri. It's an 11 a.m. game at Auburn. I don't know if the team is going to quit on Brian Harsin or not. The voices are getting very loud on the Plains about whether or not he's going to be fired. Now, Missouri's coach may be fired too because he's not doing very, very well either. But I know after watching a lot of football on those early games, I feel like the road team tends to do a little bit better only because they're in that controlled environment. You've done it. You're at your hotel room. But when you're the home team, you can mix and mingle a little bit more on these game weekends. So I'm going to, nothing based off of stats, I'm going to say that Auburn comes out flat and Missouri gets the cover against the Auburn Tigers.
I don't know. Who's Auburn getting as coach next year? Freeze? Freeze?
It's going to be interesting. Urban Meyer is eventually going to come back up for someone. Now, I don't know if anybody wants that baggage, but, Urban Meyer, I would imagine, is still willing to cash a check from somewhere other than the Fox Morning Show that he's on now. So it would not be surprising to me. Auburn they'll pay anything to beat Alabama. And that if it's rolling back the Brinks truck to get Urban Meyer, I could see it happening.
Ugh.
But the rumors are going to be out there for Lane too. They've not made any bones about they would like Lane Kiffin in Auburn, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know that Auburn's a better job or better situation than Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is actually a better job than Auburn. I know
The
it sounds
expectations
crazy.
are not ridiculous at Ole Miss compared to Auburn.
Yeah, no, it's it's not that great of a job right now. I want to be staying Ole Miss. Next one up, what you got?
All right, we've got Ole Miss, 21-point favorite. And I should mention all the lines that we're mentioning are, as of right now, they opened at different, this is what they are as of Tuesday afternoon when we're recording. So these lines may change if you want to take them. God have mercy on your soul for listening to either one of us for betting advice. But if you do, please know that these lines may not be accurate as of the time you are listening to this show. Ole Miss, 21-point favorite at home against Tulsa. I think this is another situation where I think Ole Miss is going to come out hot. They are the better team. They are going to come out just like they did against Georgia Tech and score fast and score often. Okay, so I do like them to cover in the first half. However, we all know Kentucky is looming next week. I could envision a backdoor cover for Tulsa giving up a trash touchdown at the end just because they're still out trying to throw the ball, get better. Ole Miss is at a point where, look, I just don't want anybody hurt. Right, we got Kentucky, we got bigger fish to fry, we've got bigger things to play for this season. So I am going to take Rebels win 38-20 with Tulsa covering.
I got Ole Miss hammering them. Ole Miss scoring 40 points a game this year, giving up 4. Tulsa scoring exact same 42 points a game, giving up 31. Something's got to give here. I think Ole Miss defense gets after this team. I think we get a few defense touchdowns. I think we built off last week. We're going to be very confident coming to this game after going on the road to Georgia Tech, winning 42-0. I don't think this team is quite good enough to come into games lax yet. I still think they're trying to find themselves, and they still want to prove themselves, especially coming, the kind of season we had last year. This is a chance for us to come in there and really, really get after a team. But before Kentucky, I think we get after them, man. I think I'm going to bet it's Ole Miss 48, Tulsa 14, somewhere in there.
I hope I'm wrong with my prediction, because that would make me feel pretty good seeing something like that from the Rebels on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Good.
Yep, I love it. What? And any of the other games? Any of the other State, Bowling Green, or anything? Or
no, I didn't prepare for those. If you've got something for me, I'll rattle off against you. Whatever.
All right, Mississippi State -30, Bowling Green.
I think State's going to cover on that. I think State is going to come out hungry after that very disappointing game in Death Valley last week, and I think State will go ahead and get that cover.
I got Bowling Green there. They played a few close games. Bowling Green actually beat Marshall,
That's
team
true.
that beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So a little better. They may lose by 28, but I got Bowling Green in that one. Other one, let's do one more.
Let's do one more.
Charlotte, South Carolina. Charlotte versus South Carolina. South Carolina is -21.5.
I don't know. I don't think South Carolina is very good. That said, Charlotte's, I know they're not very good. South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, they're going to figure some things out. I think Beamer is going to I think Beamer's a good coach. I think that South Carolina will get the cover against the 49ers.
Gotcha. I got South Carolina as well.
Cool. Okay. All right. So we'll wrap that up, and we'll talk on Sunday about how well I did compared to yours, and then we'll start talking about what the prize that I will inevitably get will be for that. So look forward to that on our wrap-up show after the Tulsa game. So really that's going to be it for this particular show. One thing that I want to remind everyone, where to find us. So you can find us on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. That helps other people find us so you can listen. You can find us on Apple iTunes for however you find your podcast, with Apple, with Spotify, Amazon, Google, wherever you find your podcast, you can find us there. Please like or subscribe, whatever the mechanism is there. We want to get those listener numbers up so people can find us and we can keep putting out great content for you. We want to thank our sponsors, Blue Delta Jeans, Nest and Wild Mattresses, for helping make this possible. They're great. Thank them very much. Bradley, anything you have before we
the codes for Blue Delta is OWN
100
for $100 off Blue Delta, and then Nest and Wild for anybody who needs a new mattress. I have one myself and really enjoy them. That's Wild 15, so 15% off of a Nest and Wild mattress. You can find them online or on Amazon.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening. We will see you on Sunday when we recap the Tulsa game. Once again, like and subscribe wherever you like to listen to us. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, see you, Chad. Hotty toddy.
See you, buddy. Hotty toddy.
Thanks for listening to the Brad and Chad Show. Follow the boys on social media for more content. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This has been an Ole Miss Network production, brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans, made in the USA.